I'm ready.
Let's do this.
Time to farm some dubs. Crap, I got a squad on my right.
I'm running in for backup.
Yo, Ron, he's right there in front of you.
Ugh. Sorry guys, it happened again.
Damn. This is the 10th one today.
Alright, I'm back.
Someone cover me.
Yeah, I see you. You got him, you got him, you got him! Yes! Yo, that's sweet.
Yeah, it is. We about to win this.
Guys, I can get used to this.
HyperX alloy, built strong because it has to be.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Online Racing League Season 14 as we make our way to round 10 of the championship here at the British Short Circuit at Silverstone. I'm Yusuf Milkasiro bin Sahel, and I'm joined by Jacob Alada Hancockson. Jacob, we're making our way to the third short track of the season. We've already seen the short tracks really bringing in some interesting strategies to play.
Yeah, I love these short track races, actually. Not only is it something a bit different that the drivers don't have so impeccably practiced as some of the more regular tracks, so that, you know, they don't necessarily get quite to the same level of perfection, which tends to be more mistakes and a bit more interesting racing. But also the fact that we have 100% races means that it doesn't quite, line up exactly with the sort of strategies you get to see on a 50% race. So it's a bit more up in the air whether you go for a two-stop compared to a one-stop at these 50% circuits compared to the 50% races at the 100% circuits, if you follow what I'm saying.
Yeah, and let's just take a quick look what happened last time out in France, where rain did affect the race. Jarno Opmeer took yet another win, and it was Nicolas Longuet in his first ORL race of the season who took P2 ahead of Neuberger, Dario Yemulo in P4, Alvaro Caraton P5, Ben Sabaconi took P6 ahead of Patrick Cruti in P7, Pablo Hoglard in P8, Danny Haddad in P9, and Tomek Poradic in P10. And with that, I think it would only be right to quickly bring up how the driver standings look, because there is a chance for Jarno Opmeer to secure the championship tonight.
Yeah, many points clear at the top right now. I mean, it's all but wrapped up for him already, but he could formally put that bow on it here at the British Grand Prix Short. Daniele Haddad is the closest competitor with Cruti and Caraton, each a further point behind. But none of them have been able to build up anything like the form of Jarno Opmeer recently. 4 wins on the bounce for the Dutchman. It has been, I mean, if anything, even above the level that you might have expected from Opmeer going into the season.
And remember, Jarno Opmeer was not racing the first 3 races of the season, so he has established this lead in just 6 races, which is mighty impressive. Jarno Opmeer then is currently 53 points ahead. He needs to finish up 50. Yeah, he's 53 points ahead, and he needs to be 52 points ahead come the end of the race. So that's how things look. But with that said, let's jump right on into qualifying, because the drivers are out on circuit. So without further ado, let's get right into things. And it seems, Jacob, we're seeing lap time sub 50 seconds, and I believe this is the second shortest track of the calendar, with the only shorter track being the Japanese short lane.
Yeah, I believe that is indeed correct. And because it's so short, several drivers have already managed to sneak in under our noses and get lap times in already. Fabrizio Donoso is currently our provisional pole sitter by 1,000th of a second over Josh Idowu, who is currently sitting there in second place in the McLaren. Nicolas Longuet, in his second race of the season, is currently sitting in third with Alessio Di Caprio, who's always there or thereabouts in qualifying, in fourth. Jarno Opmeer down in ninth, but the only driver to set their first lap on medium tyres.
Joni Tormala is on a lap. Good to see Joni Tormala back in races. We haven't seen him since the race back at Bahrain for round 7 of the championship. And Joni Tormala goes P7 with a 43.3, and Patrick Cruti almost matching as Danny Haddad apparently is the quickest man on circuit with a 43.2, but I'm pretty sure that is just a bug.
No, indeed, that is correct. A lot of drivers, interestingly, went for a second lap on the same set of soft tyres. It's such a short circuit that, of course, the tyres are going to go off slower per lap than they would do at a much longer circuit. So it's interesting that Josh Adowu went straight back into the pits, and so did Jan Otmir. Both of those drivers elected to only do one run on their initial sets of tyres before heading back into the pit lane, whereas everyone else stayed out there for a little bit longer to try and refine their lap times a little bit more. Josh Adowu, though, still managed to stay up in second place despite that fact. Simon Weigang sitting up there in sixth, one place ahead of Joni Tormela, with Bensabu Konyi in 8th, Patrick Kuti in 9th, and Andy, where else but 10th.
Bernardo Perez seemingly on a lap, but he's actually going to back on out of it. He was half a second up at the end of Sector 2. And clearly a lot of time in this final sector. He's the only man who hasn't got the sub a minute, let alone a sub 45 seconds.
Indeed, yeah. I don't think that's a very representative lap time at all for the Spaniard in 19th. 19 drivers here joining us today, and also the Haas drivers in 17th and 18th. That's a bit of a contrast from what we saw in France when they locked out the front row. Admittedly, a lot of drivers didn't want to go on soft tyres, and those who did often tried to sandbag their lap times to try and aim for 11th on that day. But nevertheless, it was a front row for the Haases, and Ghetto managed that third place finish as well, but now 17th and 18th in these opening exchanges of qualifying.
Jarno Otmir runs a little bit wide on the exit of a Stowe corner, so he's going to back off his lap almost instantaneously. Josh Adowu has just started a new flying lap. Let's see what he can pull.
Josh Adowu in the McLaren, heading in to what would usually be, and is actually still turn 3. Now here is Chapel, in a rather different guise to what you might usually see it as, and we go on to the back straight here and down towards Stowe, and just a little bit of a straight, not quite such high speeds as we would usually have down here, but still a little bit of a braking zone into Stowe, and then into Vale and Club, braking hard as ever into here. This part of the track pretty much exactly the same as usual, so not too much new for the drivers to learn here. And across the line, Josh Adowu manages to go even faster. That 43.111 is the new benchmark. Will we see anyone get down into the 43 zeros or even into the 42s?
Fabrizio Donoso about to complete a lap, but he does not improve. But what about Jarno Otmir? We saw him invalidate his previous lap. He's 1.5 tenths up on his current best, so this is looking to be a 43.3, so it should be a top 10, 43.1, fourth place for Jarno Otmir.
Decent lap time then from Jarno Otmir. It's only 500ths away from Josh Adowu's time, or a smidgen under, but nevertheless he can't quite get to the upper echelons of the grid order quite yet, but there's still plenty of time left in this session. Tormela's just backed out of a lap. Simon Weigang has just started a lap in the Alfa Romeo, so let's see what the German is going to be able to do. Fabrizio Donoso has just gone straight back into the pits. Nicolas Longuet also invalidated that first attempt on this new set of tyres. Simon Weigang is up a couple of hundredths of a second in the opening sector, but with such a short circuit, that is actually a pretty significant deal.
Don't be fooled by the fact that there are very, very minute distances or discrepancies in times, because currently the entire field separated by 0.6 of a second. And Simon Weigang is a 10th up, but he invalidates on the exit of Stowe and will dive right on into the pits.
And Bensabu Konyi's moved ahead of him. Alessio Di Caprio is still sitting there in 7th. Patrick Kruti's also gone up there in 6th to join his Mercedes teammate Jarno Otmir on what is currently the 3rd row of the grid, with Daniele Haddad just having popped himself up into 2nd there in the Racing Point about a lap ago.
And Nicolas Longuet on a new hot lap. He might actually be getting a tow from someone on the hanger straight. No, Bensabu Konyi rolled to the inside, and Nicolas Longuet will not take any slipstream. He's actually 0.005 of a second down on his personal best, but that can easily be found in the final sequence of corners.
Indeed, yeah, lots of time to find, particularly through this slow speed at the very end of the lap. Club and Vale, very, very tough corners at the best of time, as Nicolas Longuet proves there with a bit of a moment under traction. And as a result, Nicolas Longuet isn't able to improve on that time. Josh Adowu, by the way, did go even faster. The first driver into the 43 zeros in this qualifying session. So the Welshman is not holding back any punches at the very beginning of this qualifying session.
Joni Tormela on a new lap, and I do wonder, Jacob, will we see anyone making it into the 42s? I'm keeping an eye on Alessio Di Capua for when he starts a new lap, because he's usually that kind of dark horse driver to pull out some kind of majestic qualifying lap.
Indeed, yeah, Alessio, definitely the sort of driver we associate with being right up there, unless he invalidates too much, which is something that he does do fairly often. So it often tends to be either he gets pole, the front row, or he's invalidated about 3 attempts over the course of qualifying. He has invalidated 1 or 2 thus far, but has been able to set a pretty representative lap time there of 43.229, not very far away from the ultimate pace at all, so still going to be feeling relatively good about that scenario. I think the only driver out there who's probably on a flying lap right now is Falconardi, who's coming through the final corner, but he has invalidated. They also want to set a medium tyres, trying to improve, but struggling to do so with that harder compound.
Interesting that we're seeing the medium tyres coming through from Bernardo Perez. He's actually 6,000s up at the end of Sector 1, so let's see what the Williams driver can pull through.
Falconardi, Bernardo Perez, of course, as he heads down the hangar straight towards Stowe into the braking zone. Here you really dive the car into this braking zone, whether it's on the full circuit or the abridged circuit. Unfortunately, you don't dive it in quite that much, as Falconardi invalidates once again through Stowe. Fabrizio Donoso is out there on a hot lap right now. The Chilean driver has not made the same mistake through Stowe. Is coming up towards the line and does improve and goes up in a second. The second driver to make it into the 43.0s with a 43.095.
Danny Haddad also on a lap. He's 1,000th down at the end of Sector 1, and at the end of Sector 2, he's 6,000th down. How are these guys so consistent? I will never know, but Danny Haddad actually going to abort his lap. Clearly, being 6,000th down is too slow.
Alessio Di Capua is on a decent lap here. Well, no, he's invalidated, so never mind. It was decent in terms of time, but he has invalidated, so it's going to rather ruin it. Jarno Opmeer also backed out of his first flying lap on this set of soft tyres, so he's going again, just starting his next flying lap right now. The champion-elect, perhaps, in the Mercedes, going for trying to find his way further up the grid order for now, because he would like to do better than starting down in 6th, that much is for sure.
Simon Weigang also about to complete a lap. Will he improve? No, 800ths down. Let's see then what Jarno Opmeer can pull out. 3,000 up at the end of Sector 1, but at the end of Sector 2, he is 300ths off his PB.
Josh Ido has had to back out of his lap due to an invalidation. Fabrizio Donoso hasn't been able to improve on his second time round. Daniele Haddad struggling through the final sector, but he was almost a 10th up through the second sector. Across the line, he's lost it all, and then some. He's lost 3/10 in the final sector. Jarno Opmeer pips him to 3rd there. The Mercedes driver going up. Daniele Haddad, that could have been an incredible lap time if he held it together at the end of the lap.
I'm also keeping an eye on it. Jori Tormala, never mind, he's actually a 10th down at the end of the sector. So Danny Haddad clearly with a more pace under the racing point. Josh Ido, actually, he's going to back right on out of his lap. Pretty much stamping on the brakes in the middle of the hangar straight to see if... Oh, it's Longue on a lap.
Longue is on a lap. He's into the final sector. He's got a bit of traffic up ahead in the form of the Spaniard Jorge Albarola, but I don't think that's going to be hurting him too much. And across the line to claim provisional pole position away from Josh Idowu. Josh has been sitting up there at the top of the pile for a while now, but Nicolas Longue, with 5 minutes remaining in qualifying, steals it away from him.
Seeing what Ben Sabukoni can do. He is 200ths up at the end of Sector 2, currently sitting in P12. Pretty much in that ideal spot. You wouldn't be starting just outside of the top 10, but he runs wide on the exit of Stowe. He won't have to abort his lap.
Indeed, yeah. Lots of laps getting aborted around here, but Ben Sabukoni can go again on this same set of tyres. He's got at least one more good lap on them. By the way, we do have 20 drivers now, as Arox has made his way into the session as well. Norwegian driver currently populating the very back of the grid.
Keeping an eye on Pablo Hoglar. Let's see what this Sector 2 time is looking like. 1.5 attempts up for Pablo Hoglar, so he might be on for a 43.2 dead, which is right at that P10 cutoff point. Let's see then as he makes his way down Vale and into Club Corner.
Pablo Hoglar, where's it going to be? It is going to be only good enough for 12th in the end, a 43.242 for the Alpha Tauri driver. So slight disappointment there, but certainly not the end of the world. Kryzix, by the way, has managed to find himself up into 8th. Usually an ORL Split B driver, given a go in Split A here today, and that is a good way to start that, getting into the 43.1s. Very close to the likes of Simon Weigang and Alessio Di Capua right now.
Very good lap from Kryzix up into PA, and sometimes you get this when the Split B drivers get bumped up especially when it's at one of the shorter circuits. Sometimes they just really spam out the track, get as much practice as they can. And if Crysis has been doing that well, his practice has paid off.
Indeed, so definitely a nice lap time for him at this stage. Pablo Joglar went through again, but didn't manage to improve, so he's going for another lap on this set of soft tyres, not wanting to just head back into the pit. Some of these guys might be running low on sets of tyres at this stage of qualifying, in all honesty, so he might be just trying to eke out as much as he can from each individual set of boots.
Simon Weigang went to start a lap, but he crossed the line, pushed for 2 seconds, and then backed on out. So I don't know if he got a bad exit out of the final corner and decided, never mind, I'll have another attempt at getting a good exit.
That's esports driver level of perfection right there. Before you even get to a corner deciding you're going to back out of a lap. Jarno Opmeer is on an outlap right now, and he's coming towards the end of this outlap, doing a little bit of tyre warming in the final sector here. I think he's got Josh Idowu. Is that close behind him? Yes, it is. So both of them are going to be setting new lap times pretty quickly unless they mess up or invalidate in some way. But here comes Jarno Opmeer across the line to start his penultimate attempt.
Remember, Jarno Opmeer has not started outside of the front row in any race this season, and he finds 100th of a second through Sector 1. Down into Chapel Corner we go. Can Jarno get the exit speed? Carl wants to understand why Nicholas Longue weaving, and Jarno able to find 800ths at the end of Sector 2. This is going to be a quick lap. Can he get into the 42s here?
Keeps it on the island through Stowe. That was critical. Now down into Vale we go. Heavy braking zone, taking maybe a touch too much of the curb on the inside there, but I'm not sure whether it unsettled the car at all. Across the line, and evidently it didn't, because Jarno Opmeer is at the top once again, a 43.015. Josh Idowu, where did he go? He didn't manage to improve. He's backed out of his next lap as well, so he's only going to have one more attempt maximum in the McLaren.
Nicholas Longue on a lap, but I want to sit on board with Danny Haddad, because remember, Jacob, Danny Haddad looked amazingly quick on that previous run. Can he find that pace again here on his final run in qualifying for round 10 of the championship?
It's not quite so fast, but it's definitely still fast. He's looking to challenge the likes of Josh Idowu, Fabrizio Donoso with this one. Joni Tormola's just gone up into second place. They're displacing Nicholas Longue. Alessio Di Capua has found his way up into fourth as well. But here comes his fellow Italian as he's heading up towards the line. Daniele Haddad, where's this going to put him? It's no improvement once again. But Nicholas Longue, the first driver into the 42s.
What a lap from the Frenchman up to the top of the standings. But look at Fabrizio Donoso. He's 700 up. Does he invalidate on the exit of Stowe? He was right on the line. And he's
invalidated.
He's going to complete this lap anyway. Let's see what it would have been for the Chilean driver. 43.0. He is going to be kicking himself.
And he can't go again either. Not enough fuel left in the Renault, I believe, there. Is there anyone who can still challenge now? Jarno Opmeer is in the pits.
Alessio Di Capua is 100th up at the end of Sector 1, and he's currently 3,000th behind Joni Tormola, 500ths of Jarno Opmeer's current best lap time.
Let's see then. Alessio Di Capua might well be the last driver to challenge, but he's already a couple of tenths down through the second sector, so I think that's going to be that for this lap as well. Nicholas Longue is still out there. Is he trying to improve? It looks like he is not. So let's see if Alessio can claw back that time in the final sector. I'd be very, very surprised indeed if he can. And indeed, across the line, he does not improve. Fabrizio Donoso, Daniele Haddad. Daniele's still out there pushing. So maybe the Italian has one last gasp to try and get himself further up the order. Starting down in 7th is not where he needs to be if he wants to keep the championship battle alive.
Let's see what Danny Haddad can pull out. Into Clubber Corner he goes. He needs to find nearly a tenth of a second to get onto the front row of the grid. A 43.0. Danny Haddad, with an identical lap time to Alessio Di Capua, locks himself onto the second row of the grid.
And the game puts him ahead of Alessio Di Capua for that one, even though Alessio set that lap before him. So I'm not quite sure why that is. But Joni Tormola coming out of nowhere there to claim third in the end, getting just 0.003 of a second ahead of Daniele Haddad and Alessio Di Capua. Josh Idowu, who was so strong at the beginning of the session, faded a little bit towards the end, but still manages 6th, with Fabrizio Donoso having a similar tail down in 7th. Falconardi managed to find some pace towards the end in 8th. Simon Weigang in ninth. Kryzix did manage to claim that spot in the top 10, a dubious honor by 1,000th of a second ahead of Felipe, who was our pole setter last time out, of course, and this time will be starting from 11th, so perhaps an even better place to start. Dario Yamulo, once again, is going to have another of those comeback drives that he has had in the last 3 races, as he is starting down in 12th.
2.5 tenths, Jacob. That's the gap separating first Nicholas Longay all the way down to P18. That's how close the field is here at the Silverstone Short Circuit.
That is incredible. Really, really incredible stuff. And Ben Sabokonyi going to be down in 13th. He won't be too happy. Patrick Kruti down in 15th as well. And it's on such fine margins. That's always going to feel really, really rough. Steve, in his first race of the season, is going to be up there in 14th, within 0.2 of the ultimate pole time. So not too bad there. But nevertheless, it is Nicholas Longay taking pole from Jarno Opmeer. Can Nicholas stay clear of those time penalties that cost him the win in France?
And we're going to be heading into a short commercial break, and when we're back, we'll be bringing you the race live and uninterrupted. Stay tuned. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as you tune in to the formation lap here for round 10 of the ORL Season 14 Championship. Nicholas Longay lines up in pole position. Alongside him is Jarno Opmeer. Remember, these two had a pretty fantastic battle back in front. Nicholas Longay able to take the checkered flag, although had time penalties, which saw Jarno Opmeer claim the win. Joni Tormala is down in P3, ahead of Danny Haddad, Leslie Capua, Yoshido, Falcon Nardi, Simon Weigang, and Kryzix in P10. But it is Felipe Sousa and Dario Yamulo who have the best position in terms of strategies here, Jacob, because they get to start on those fresh medium tyres.
Indeed, yeah. Felipe from one type of pole position to another, and Dario Yamulo, I mentioned the recovery drives that he's been able to pull off in the last few races, and obviously in a prime position to do the exact same once again. Interesting to see Pablo Hoglar down in 18th, actually opt for the soft tyres instead of the mediums. Strategy definitely going to be a bit more up in the air here than it is at usual circuits, so don't take it as read that the medium tyre runners are going to have the best strategy here.
The drivers start to line up on circuit. According to the predicted strategy, we're going to be seeing a one stop coming through. Softs onto medium or softs onto hards. But as Arox lines up on the grid, it's a Red Bull on pole and it's a Red Bull at the back of the field. Can Nicholas Longay get a clean start? We have 5 red lights at Silverstone, and we are underway. It looks to have been a really good start here from Jarno Opmeer, but it's not enough to pull alongside the Red Bull drive as the Ferrari of Alessio Di Capua sits in a P4. Could have a look down the inside, but that's covered by Joni Tormala. Jarno Opmeer runs wide, and Joni Tormala loses the back end, and this is just going to allow Nicholas Longay to pull off into the distance as Alessio Di Capua runs wide on the exit of Chapel, and he's got Joshi Dowu for company right behind him as they make their way up to Stowe Corner for the first time in the race. And here comes Joshi Dowu close to Alessio Di Capua, who will go defensive. Josh looks to the outside, will try to hold it the long way through Club Corner, which will become the insider for the right-hander. And Joshi Dowu gains a position. Alessio Di Capua not completely out of this one yet, will slot right on in behind the McLaren. as they make their way through Abbey, through Farm, and down into Village. It is still Nicholas Longuet who leads the race.
There's a couple of cars off in the background. I think that's Andy and Felipe who have come together here. The two Shazoo stablemates at the very back of the field have come together. Meanwhile, Nicholas Longuet with a great start to the race to be able to maintain that lead and actually build it up significantly to Jarno Opmeer in second, who was under pressure on that opening lap. Joni Tormela in third, with Fabrizio Donoso keeping close attendance in fourth.
I think there was damage on the Ferrari, Jacob, because Alessio Di Capua has dived on into the pits. He should be able to put on hard tires. Maybe he can make it to the end as Kreisig has Ben Sabukoni on his inside, but Kreisig is able to hold on to the position and holds on to that P9 spot.
Look at Dario and Steve as well, up there in 7th and 8th at this stage on those medium tires. Felipe, of course, with that incident with Andy, has fallen well down. But Dario and Steve definitely flying the flag right now for the Contra strategists. And they have had a very good start to this race.
Yeah, Dario Mullo and Steve in an absolutely fantastic situation. I'm just keeping an eye on Ben Sabukoni, who's getting very close to the back of Kreisig. Remember, Ben Sabukoni, that's a moment for Kreisig. He loses the rear end on the exit of the club corner. That's going to allow Ben Sabukoni to sweep by down the inside on the start-finish straight.
Yeah, Kreisig's just having a moment there, and as a result, Ben Sabukoni, shark in the water, smelling the blood, taking the position away, moving himself up to 9th. He's had a decent start to the race as well, considering he started down in 13th. Good progress from some of the drivers. Kreisig and Simon Weigang will be very disappointed, though, to have lost out on the start, even though they started on the preferred soft tyre.
Jarno Opmeer has been able to close in onto Nicholas Longuet, that gap to under 0.7 of a second. Just going to keep an eye on the ERS battle. All drivers have pretty much over 90% remaining, and our closest driver is actually in the battle for P13, Jorge Alberola, with Getone and Arux behind him.
Battle going on down there, but it's not going to be for points quite yet. They're going to need to make rather more progress than that if they want to be getting points from this race. Out at the front, Joni Tormela does have the best of the ERS percentages. They are all in a pretty solid position, as you mentioned, but nevertheless, Joni Tormela is about 10% to the good relative to Opmeer and Longuet up ahead. Interesting as well to note that Steve and Ben Sabukoni have both deployed quite a lot of their overtake mode in their efforts to move up the grid thus far on their medium tyres, whereas Dario Yamulo is about 20% higher than both of them, so he's had a much cleaner run of it.
The crucial part is that Dario Yamulo is within 1 second of Bernardo Perez in the P6, and as long as the Alfa Romeo can stay within that DRS range, that will allow him to tag onto this train that goes all the way up to Nicholas Longuet leading the field. And in the corner of your shot, actually, well, not really corner of your shot, you can quite clearly see the likes of Felipe, Danny Haddad, Pablo Hogla, who are all on the verge of being lapped.
Yeah, indeed. Pitting this early has already got them into a danger zone for being lapped in the race, which is an astonishing thing to think about, really. But yeah, Nicholas Longuet, Jarno Opmeer setting a very, very fast pace at the front of this race and are chasing them down at the very back of the field. Interesting you mentioned that Dario Yamulo is going to be part of this DRS train with the front 6 drivers. That is going to be very, very helpful for the Alfa Romeo. And what might even be more helpful is the fact that Falconardi is using a lot of ERS himself to try and stick with the front 5. The rest of them are conserving, but Bernardo Perez is struggling a little bit to keep on the same pace as them, so is having to use more of his battery charge to do so. As a result, at some point you'd expect him to fall a little bit outside of that DRS train, and then he should be easy pickings for Dario.
Whenever we have these DRS trains, you always just wonder who is going to pull the trigger first, and if they don't, how easy is it actually to overtake at the circuit? Are drivers just biding their time, or are they just unable to find a way through? But yeah, as you mentioned, Jarno Opmeer getting very close to Nicholas Longuet here on lap 8 of the race.
Pablo Hoglar picking up a 3-second time penalty. That he joins Alessio Di Capua and Jorge Alberola as drivers who have managed to pick up 3-second time penalties thus far. Felipe's also got that 10-second penalty after that incident with Andy, so that's not going to be helping any of those drivers. Critically, though, Nicholas Longuet is not one of the 3-second penalty club thus far. So as long as the Frenchman can keep his car on track, he is looking good right now. But Jarno Opmeer definitely looking lively behind him. The same is true of Joni Tormo.
Pablo Hoglar has just dived on into the pit, picked up a 5-second time penalty for speeding into the pit lane, and then promptly retired after. So I'm not sure if he was planning on retiring beforehand or not. Either way, Jarno Opmeer getting very close to Nicolas Longuet as, well, at least on my screen, I saw a bit of a lag spike and Nicolas just dropping back into Jarno's car, but it hasn't seemed to affect Jarno at all.
Yeah, Jarno definitely not phased by whatever might have happened there. And tends to be rather unfazed in general, to be honest. Nicolas Longuet there, not quite meeting the apex of Stowe, ever so slightly taking a suboptimal line through there, but it really was very slight, so I don't think we can necessarily read anything into that quite yet. It will be interesting to see which of these drivers' tyres start to fall away before the rest.
One driver's tyres who might start to be falling away is Simon Weigang. He's got Patrick Fruity 2/10 behind, and Simon Weigang almost outside of that 1 second DRS range to Isaac.
No obvious front wing damage on the Alfa Romeo of Weigang. And it's interesting that he is falling outside of that second range from Kreisak's up ahead, as you mentioned. It is very surprising indeed. The German has been very strong when we've seen him thus far this season. But maybe this short circuit not suiting him. Maybe he hasn't had time to do the practice that some of the other drivers have done. But either way, not quite living up to the expectations I'm sure that Simon Weigang will have set for himself. But nevertheless, plenty of time to still prove himself in the remainder of this race.
Barely just hit the 1/5 mark of the race, so as we mentioned, Jacob, still a long way to go. And Patrick Fruity staying within those 3/10s, but it just seems here at the Silverstone short layout, pretty difficult for drivers to overtake. We expected something like this at, for example, Japan short, but we ended up seeing some absolutely fantastic racing in Suzuka. But here at Silverstone so far, not too much action.
Yeah, indeed. It's just a bit of a cagey affair right now between the drivers. A big old DRS train has formed. It's always so hard to overtake. If anyone can overtake, it's Jarno Opmeer can overtake Nicolas Longuet, but why would he want to? He wants to overtake him at just the right time to ensure that he can be ahead when they go into the pit lane, or can react to strategy. You know, you just have more options if you're sitting in second than if you're sitting in first. So Jarno is perfectly happy to let Nicolas lead the way for now.
Fernando Perez picks up a time penalty, but going back to what you were saying, here comes Jarno Opmeer down the inside of Nicolas Longuet. Jarno Opmeer now leads the race. Neither of these drivers have really used up any ERS. Nicolas Longuet has his ERS at the 90% mark, and Jarno Opmeer also has his at the 90% mark. So whether that's a case of Nicolas just not even trying to push, or whether he's just got so much pace that he can keep Jarno, or he was able to keep Jarno behind without using his ERS. So Fabrizio Donoso picks up a 3-second time penalty. He's the first driver of the top 5 to have picked up a penalty.
So we'll see now if Jarno Opmeer is going to put on a spurt. He's not even going to try to drop Nicolas Longuet either. He respects the Frenchman. He knows that he could try and dump all his overtake right now to get outside of DRS range, but he knows that Nicolas Longuet is too fast for that. So at the moment, he's just going to take that first position away, circulate round a little bit here. It was a bit of a handshake between the two drivers. Nicolas Longuet wasn't feeling like fighting it, letting Jarno through, basically. It's just the most efficient way to go without disadvantaging each other's race at the front of the field for now. Dario Yamulo still not quite close enough to Falconardi to potentially threaten the Spaniard, who has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Fabrizio Donoso also picked up a time penalty last time around.
Nicolas Longuet getting very close once again to Jarno Opmeer, but the job for the Frenchman is just to stay within striking distance, not to overtake, save up some ERS, and maybe the lap before he wants to pit, he can go for a move. Joni Tormala also very close to these two, but again, not expecting to see too much. Simon Weigang has just fallen a second behind Kreisik. And now we might be seeing Patrick Fruity looking for a way through into that 11th place spot.
Yeah, Simon's been sort of dancing on the edge of that DRS mark from Kreisik for a little while now. And Kreisik himself is actually falling away from the 3 medium tyre runners up ahead. They are still all critically just about within this DRS train that leads from Jarno Opmeer in first to Arox in 15th. Everyone who hasn't pitted, with the exception of Andy, who was involved in that incident, is a paid-up member of this DRS train.
And I'm also wondering, as Nicholas Longuet runs wide, and that is most certainly a warning going his way. The game much stricter nowadays on the exit of Stoke Corner. I mean, before you could run completely wide, not get a penalty. Now you could just barely toe the line, and it instantly slaps you with a warning. The thing that I'm considering right now, Jacob, is Daria Moloshtev and Sabakoni. How strong of a position are they in? And I'm just trying to work out this alternate strategy that they're on. Is this something that's going to see them maybe jumping up even potentially to a podium position, or are we just going to see them battling for 7th, 8th, and 9th?
I mean, it depends on an awful lot of things. It depends on safety car timings, if we're going to see any, or virtual safety cars. It depends on how long these softs can last, whether they can truly one-stop from softs to mediums, and how long the medium tire runners could make their soft stint at the end of the race last, and how much faster they'll be at that point. There's so many questions within that question, if you follow what I'm saying, that it's really hard to say at this stage. However, they are doing everything they need to do for now. The best they can do is keep within DRS range of this front pack and make sure that they are no more than, 3 or 4 seconds behind the race leader at any given point of this opening stint.
We'll have to see when the likes of Dario Moloshtev and Ben Sabakoni are on those fresh soft tyres, whether they'll be able to use that grip to find a way through and to climb up the order relative to, well, the top 6 at the moment, who at that point in time will be on 1 medium tyres.
Joni Tormar still almost looks like the fastest of the front 3, in all honesty. Still has a tiny bit more in the battery tank. Fabrizio Donoso has actually used a little bit more battery than any of the front 3 as well, and Josh Idowu is also in a more solid position than Fabrizio. So maybe the Chilean driver starting to struggle just a little bit here. Has picked up that 3-second time penalty as well, so maybe pushing a little bit harder than some of these other drivers, although time penalties have always been Fabrizio Donoso's Achilles heel.
Also, we've got our first driver who got pit from the soft tyres, Simon Weigang, into the pits and will come out, I believe, ahead of Danny Haddad. And we can see relative to everyone else where they feed out. I think Simon Weigang, I'm trying to remember, he was, what,
P11.
P11, yes. Was he not ahead of Kryzik?
No, he was behind Kryzik, and he was just falling outside of that DRS range of Kryzik, and struggling for pace, certainly, on that set of soft tyres. So, makes sense that he is the first one to go onto a set of mediums instead. Maybe trying his luck with them, of course. He needs an undercut on some of these drivers as well. He's trying to force Kryzik to respond. Kryzik does stay out, so the undercut will actually continue here for Weigang, I believe. Oh, never mind. I think that's Kryzik actually coming into the... No, it's Falconardi, so Kryzik has to stay out. That's great news for Simon Weigang, actually, that Bernardo Perez has decided to come into the pits instead. Let's see, relative to Weigang, where Nardi comes out.
Yeah, this is going to be the critical factor. Simon Weigang should feed out about... I mean, I think the gap between them before the stops was about 4 seconds or so. So with the undercut, Simon Weigang should be about 3 seconds behind. He's making his way down Vale and into Club Corner as we speak.
Yeah, so let's see then. Simon Weigang currently in 16th place, across the line to set the fastest lap of the race on this set of medium tyres. So there is an undercut here. It definitely does exist, but it's not so significant as all that. Simon Weigang still 2 seconds down the road from Falconardi. Fabrizio Donoso has pitted from 4th place.
And this is where things start to get spicy, Jacob. Now that our top 5 drivers are feeding on into the pits, Alessi Di Capua, Danny Haddad are pretty much done and dusted from this race, having had to pit so early on. Oh no, Fabrizio Donoso, never mind, it was just a visual bug where it held him in the pits for slightly longer than he would have liked to. But let's see where he comes out relative to Bernardo Perez.
Yeah, we can see Bernardo Perez on his outlap has been faster than Weigang behind as well, I believe. And set a purple final sector there. Here we go. Fabrizio will still be ahead of Bernardo, but only just. Now, Josh Idowu is the next driver to come into the pits, as well as Kryzix, who has finally thrown in the towel as well. Simon Weigang will definitely be hoping to be out ahead of Kryzix at the very least. The undercut doesn't seem massively strong, but it does exist.
It's a very slight advantage from those medium tyres, and I think it's just a case of drivers actually, maybe it's a case of the soft tyres not being stretched to their absolute limit, and just drivers jumping onto the medium tyres from the earliest possible point. Maybe the medium tyres are just better racer tyres than the softs. As Josh Idowu is going to make his way out of the pits, he should feed in behind Bernardo Perez, and indeed it does so by a few seconds actually, and Simon Weigang only second behind the McLaren driver.
That's really telling, actually, Josh. I'm not sure if he had a slow stop or what, or a slow entry to the pit lane or something, but he has lost out significantly. I'm not sure if that's all just undercut. He was up there right behind Fabrizio Donoso before they headed into the pits. Now Nicholas Longuet and Jarno Otmir are both in the pit lane as well from the front two spots in the race.
Let's see where they feed out. They should be feeding out ahead of Fabrizio Donoso and Bernardo Perez. Fabrizio Donoso making his way through the final corner. Now Nicholas Longuet about to get to the pit lane removal point. And it is Fabrizio Donoso who will come out in the lead of the race.
RC Fab Racer into what will be the lead of this race, unless Joni Tormel has pulled off some kind of incredible in-lap on the last set of soft tyres remaining, apart from those on Felipe's car, which hardly count, down in 19th place. Joni Tormela is going to lose out pretty significantly due to this undercut, but here comes Jarno Otmir already blasting past Fabrizio Donoso. So the Chilean driver got to enjoy that for all of about half a lap before the Dutchman came straight back past. Now, Nicholas Longuet, who actually lost out to Nardi as well as Donoso, has two cars all of a sudden between himself and Jarno Otmir, who he was battling for the lead.
Something interesting, Jarno Otmir, full tank of ERS. Fabrizio Donoso, pretty much no ERS. I think he gave it absolutely everything on that outlap to pull off the undercut.
Look at Joni Tormela here. He came out alongside Nicholas Longuet. Didn't quite manage to get the Frenchman, but Nicholas Longuet actually got overcut there by Tormela, and he actually got a bad exit and got a 3-second time penalty for it. It's a disastrous lap or two for the Frenchman, and he might find himself falling prey to the Finn. No, he's going to break later into Stowe, much later. In the end, he might pick up another warning for that one, but he's already on a fresh set of warnings for the next penalty, so maybe he can afford to do that. But nevertheless, Nicholas Longuet, not only has he got two cars between himself and Jarno Otmir, he almost lost out to Joni Tormela as well because he got stuck behind Falcon Nardi.
Joni Tormela pulling off the undercut, and Nicholas Longuet, as you mentioned, stuck behind Falcon Nardi. So it's Dario Molo, Stib and Ben Sabaconi now leading the way in your top three positions. Ben Sabaconi over a second ahead of Patrick Kuti. Now, Jarno Otmir has got 7 seconds between himself and Andy, and if you are a Dario Molo fan, you'll be wanting Jarno to catch up to Andy as quickly as possible, so that can just delay this effective race leader and bring Dario Molo back into play when he jumps onto his soft tyres.
Unfortunately for Dario Yamulo fans, though, I'm not sure Andy would provide much of an impediment to Jarno if Jarno was able to catch up to the rear end of the German driver. I think that Ferrari would get breezed past by the black Mercedes of Jarno Otmir, and Andy actually picks up a 3-second time penalty. His ears were burning. He stopped to scratch them and went off-road as a result.
I do that a lot in sim racing, but not gonna lie, it would have happened. I would end up getting those time penalties anyway. Either way, we're on lap 27 or 52. We're at the halfway point of the race. Dario Molo currently leads from Stib and Ben Sabaconi, but they currently do have to make a pit stop. And Dario Molo, oh dear, he's picked up his first time penalty of the race, and now it's literally just Jarno Otmir and Joni Tormela in that effective lead group of cars that do not have any time penalties.
Yeah, I think we can count Josh Idowu as part of that as well. Simon Weigang is also there, but he is on much older medium tyres compared to everyone else. 4 laps older than Josh Idowu, 6 laps older than Tormela. So I'm not sure whether we should necessarily count the German in amongst that pack. But Josh Idowu is still there or thereabouts. Could still be looking at a
here comes Longuet. That's a dive from so far back down into Stowe. He pulls it off, and Bernardo Perez saw it coming, and he just left the room, crucially so. as Longue moves up to P11.
Yeah, but as a result, actually, Longue has fallen outside of DRS range. He's 1.5 seconds behind Fabrizio Donoso right now. Jorge Alberol has just come into the pit, so he'll be filtering out down towards the bottom end of the order, but on a fresh set of soft tyres, so he'll be looking to charge on throughout the remainder of this race. But yeah, Nicholas Longue needs to get back within range of Fabrizio Donoso as quick as possible, because Fabrizio himself is struggling to keep Jarno Opmeer in arm's reach.
Bernardo Perez doesn't get the best of exit out of Chapel and onto the hangar straight, and it does mean that Nicholas Longue will hold on to his position now. Dario Mullo is into the pits. Let's see where he will feed out. This is a critical moment for all of the medium tyre runners.
Let's see. Will it be right at the very back, or will he be able to be in there amongst Simon Weigang, Krajicek, that sort of area? We will see just how effective his in-laps were on that set of medium tyres. But no, it is going to be at the very back of this train of cars, unfortunately for him. So he's going to have to make progress, but thankfully he's got the tyres with which to do so.
And I'm just trying to think, Dario Mullo, before the pit stops, I believe he was ahead of Krajicek and Simon Weigang. So he's lost about 2 seconds, but he's now on far superior tyres to everyone ahead of him.
Yes, exactly. He was behind Ido, Tormala, etc., but he was ahead of Weigang and Krajicek. So he has lost out a bit, but not by too much. And it also helps the fact that Krajicek and Weigang are both outside of DRS range of one another and of Josh Idowu up ahead. Yes. So Dario should find them to be relatively easy pickings. The rest, almost all of the rest of the medium tyre runners who started the race on the medium tyres have now come into the pits as well for their own sets of softs. That's Arox, Patrick Kruti, Steve, and Bent Zabo Konyi, who are going to come out just behind Dario Yamulo once again.
This is where Dario Mullo wants to get the move done on Christ. He wants to get it done as soon as possible, but doesn't quite get the exit onto the hangar straight. Will he just dump the entire ERS battery? No, but he uses enough ERS to pull alongside, move up the inside, and Dario Mullo moves up into the top 10.
Nice move by Dario Yamulo. It's very similar to what happened further up the order with Joni Tormala getting past Falconardi into Stowe as well. So the Finn, who is going to have the best set of medium tyres when we get to the end of this race, is making those pay just a little bit already and looking to close down Nicholas Longue as well. Tormala, with that, without any 3-second time penalties, he'll be feeling he is the one who ought to be taking the challenge to Jarno Opmeer, but he can't do that while he's got Longue and Donoso between himself and the Dutchman.
Let's see how far up the order Dario can get before those tyres start to fall off. He should be able to make quick work of Simon Weigang, just like he did on Krajicek. And don't forget, Simon also on 4-lap older medium tyres than Krajicek, so it should be even easier, theoretically, for Simon Weigang to get past his Alfa Romeo teammate. And then, well, then he reaches the DRS train of Josh Idowu all the way up to Jarno Opmeer. Still waiting for the likes of Gettoned and Andy to make their pit stop.
Joni Tormala very, very close behind Nicholas Longue now, but the Frenchman in the Red Bull has just about got within DRS range of Fabrizio Donoso once again. It's been a few laps he's been struggling without being able to open up that slot in the rear wing, but now he is able to do so once more, and that should afford him some extra protection from the sister teammate Joni Tormala just behind.
As here comes Steve down the inside of Krajicek. Two new drivers to ORL Season 14. Steve, I do remember back from ORL Season 11 or Season 12, back when he won, if I'm not mistaken, the Spanish Grand Prix. Steve moves up to P11. Don't forget, out of the soft tyre runners, Steve is technically ahead of Dario Mullo because he doesn't have any time penalties.
Yeah, it's a very, very strong race, actually, for the Hungarian who's standing in the racing point here today. Kruti also going to get past Krajicek here, who is falling without a trace at this stage of the race, unfortunately for him. He'll be hoping to keep on to the coattails of those soft tyre runners as they start to harass the likes of Simon Weigang and Josh Idowu further up the order, and then maybe try and feed on some scraps from that, but that's going to be the best that Krajicek can hope for at this stage. Fabrizio Donoso still very close to Jarno Opmeer, and Jarno is using a lot of his ERS. It's a rare sight to see Fabrizio Donoso on a superior level of ERS compared to Jarno Opmeer. Jarno is under a bit of pressure right now.
The Renault is all over the rear end of the Mercedes, is 4 seconds further up to Andy. We saw Fabrizio and Jarno Opmeer battling back at Belgium, back in the Spa-Francorchamps. And it was Jana Watmir who was able to come out on top. He managed the ERS so well. Can he do it again here? And for now, Fabrizio Donoso will slot in behind.
Indeed, he's not trying anything too risky just yet. Nicolas Longuet with another 3-second time penalty. It's the same issue that plagued him in France is plaguing him here at the British Grand Prix short as well. Already up to 6 seconds worth of time penalties now is the Red Bull driver. He's going to want to sort that out if he's going to be holding a candle to Jana Watmir in the final couple of races of the season.
Quite curious as well right now for why Andy and Ghetto are still out on their medium tyres. Surely it's time for them to put on softs, and they started on those sort of medium tyres, and right as I say that, Ghetto dives on into the play.
Yeah, I think they're already very far down. Andy particularly is pretty much out of contention at this stage, so you can hope for a safety car by staying out, or you can hope that maybe the other ones who went onto the softs did it a bit too early. They might get punctures, or they might find their tyres fall off a cliff at the very end. You've got to do something different to those around you to give yourself a chance of getting into the top 10. I think that's why they're going for a slightly odd strategy here.
Sometimes you do have to risk it for the biscuit, as they say. Ghetto and Andy are most certainly doing that, but look at this. Fabrizio Donoso still close as ever to Jana Watmir. I just want to ride on board and see ERS test. Wow, that is a whole kick of over to corner exit. Yeah, both the drivers fairly low in that ERS department as Falcon Nardi. I tell you, he's getting very close to the back of Joni Tormala. Not going to be able to find any way through. What about Dario Yamullo? He's closer than he has been all race to the back of Simon Weigang.
Simon Weigang down at 6% ERS. He's been desperately trying to catch up to the cars ahead and to keep his teammate Dario Yamullo behind. Dario won't be appreciative of that because these are the best laps of his race that he is wasting stuck behind Simon Weigang. It's a great defense from Weigang for sure. Dario Yamullo struggling to get past the German. But nevertheless, Yamullo would definitely wish that his teammate would move aside for him at this stage.
Let's see then, coming out of Chapel onto the hangar straight, Simon Weigang does not have DRS. And this might be the last lap that is the case. Dario Yamullo with ERS, with a DRS, will fly past. There's a Falcon Nardi has gone down the inside of Joni Tormala. He'll squeeze Joni Tormala out wide as they make their way down Vale and into Glover corner. Falcon Nardi on the outside. They're ghosting through each other somewhat, but still leaving room. Joni Tormala all the way, the long way round, and on to the start-finish straight. Still side by side now, Jacob, as Joni Tormala holds on to P5.
Fantastic driving from Joni Tormala there, holding it around the outside of Stowe. Falcon Nardi tried to shut the door on him, but Joni Tormala was still firmly in the frame, and as a result, the door bounced back and hit Falcon Nardi in his own face. And Joni Tormala holds on to P5 for now, and all the while, they didn't actually lose much time to Nicolas Longuet.
Idovu's going to go down the inside of Falcon Nardi, clearly with not much ERS to defend. And it's an easy move for Josh Idovu to move up to P6. Bernardo Perez down to P7. And Dario Yamullo will be licking his lips at a potential P7.
Fabrizio Donoso is at 90% ERS. Jana Watmir is at 60. Fabrizio has an opportunity to deploy the ERS in these next couple of laps and really put Jarno under pressure. If he leaves it a couple more laps, though, and keeps harvesting, Jarno's going to be able to keep harvesting as well, and the differential between the two in terms of their battery charge is going to be evaporating. So, Fabrizio really wants to put Jarno under pressure right now, but he's not doing it. He's holding on to it, but he's still getting very, very close to the rear wing of that Mercedes into the braking zone of Stowe.
And we talked about this back in Spa, the fact that Fabrizio Donoso had an ERS advantage, but he didn't use it when he had it available to him. He waited too long, and Jarno was able to re-harvest up his energy. Will Fabrizio make the same mistake? Arguably, it wasn't a mistake, but in my opinion, it was. So will Fabrizio Donoso make that same mistake here tonight?
We will see. Jarno's already got up to about 70% ERS. Now he's getting closer to Fabrizio's percentage. Will Fabrizio use any here? Doesn't look like it. Overtake still orange, no green, so he's still not deploying that battery charge. Jarno Watmir looks like he's used a little bit, but not too much. So maybe Jarno's still deploying a bit more than Fabrizio at this stage, and as a result, Donoso...
Fruti's just gone up the inside of Ben Sabaconi. Sorry to cut across you there, Jacob, but that was a move for P11 between two of the soft tyre runs.
Indeed, yeah, very important move. And Dario Mulo, the front runner of the soft tire guys, is getting closer to Falconardi, but those tires are going to be starting to become a little bit second-hand now. So he might have lost his chance by staying stuck behind his teammate for rather too long at this stage. Meanwhile, up at the very front, Fabrizio is still so close behind Jarno Opmeer. Let's see, he's using overtake now. Fabrizio is going for it here. Down the hanger straight we go, and he's reeling him in, and he's passed him already into the braking zone. Jarno Opmeer will not even try and fight back into the braking zone of Stowe, and Fabrizio moves up into what is effectively the race lead once Andy comes into the pits.
Now the question is, can Fabrizio maintain his ERS? Because Jarno, courtesy of that move, has pretty much the same amount of ERS as Fabrizio Donoso. So does Fabrizio defend using his ERS, or does he just ensure that he has that 100% ERS for when they begin the final couple of laps? We're on lap 42 or 52 here at Silverstone. 11 laps remain.
11 laps. 3.2 seconds between Donoso and Andy. I'm just going to double check to see whether Andy has actually pit in this race. I'm pretty sure he hasn't rather, and indeed he hasn't. So he can't stay out to the end of the race. But he is still staying out for as long as possible, still hoping for that safety car scenario you have to expect. And Fabrizio isn't actually getting that much closer to him over these laps. It's still 2.9 seconds between the two. But if Andy's still out there when these guys get to him, he could well be a real spanner in the works.
Well, let's see. It seems like Andy is actually trying to go to the end of the race, and I'm not
Still
quite
needs
sure.
to pit.
He does need to pit, so I don't know what Andy is going for. I think maybe trying to sneak a faster lap away from the likes of Dario Mulo and Stiv, although I would assume it is Getone who currently has that accolade. As here comes Ben Saboconi. He's close to the back of Patrick Cruti, but Cruti has DRS and ERS of his own. Patrick Cruti holds on to that P11 spot. Stiv, Cruti and Ben Saboconi on these soft tyres, unable to find a way through on Simon Weigang in P9.
Yeah, and that trio has been too busy fighting each other, and they've used up so much of their ERS as well. Simon Weigang's at 40, and those three were all at about 10%. So they're going to struggle to get past Simon Weigang in these last few laps of the race, and they might be fighting between themselves for that one solitary point.
Still Fabrizio Donoso, who is your effective race leader from Jarno Opmeer, Nicolas Longuet, and Joni Tormala. I tell you what, if Fabrizio Donoso can overtake Andy going into Stowe Corner, and Jarno Opmeer is stuck behind Andy all the way through the first half of the lap and into Chapel, Fabrizio might have a chance, might have a slim chance of pulling that 1 second.
Yeah, but he needs to pull 3 seconds as well. Let's not forget, he has that time penalty.
Yes.
Of course, sometimes drivers do get their time penalties removed, so it's not absolutely hard and fast. And it is only the 1 time penalty for Fabrizio at this stage of the race. But right now, the rate at which Donoso is catching Andy in the lead isn't that fast. So even if he was able to pass Andy at the perfect part of the lap, ensure himself an extra lap ahead of Andy while Jarno Opmeer is stuck behind, I'm not sure he has enough pace over and above the Ferrari driver to be able to build enough of a gap to Jarno Opmeer.
All will be revealed in a few laps time. 2 seconds separating Andy from Fabrizio Donoso. Danny Haddad picks up a time penalty. He's down in P16. Don't forget, as things are, Jarno Opmeer will undoubtedly take the championship win with his closer championship rival of Danny Haddad down in P17. Alvaro Caraton not racing, and his other rival, his teammate of Patrick Cruti, all the way down in P11 and out of the points.
I mean, the battle for the race win here is still between Joni Tormala and Jarno Opmeer. It might not seem like it, with Jarno in 3rd and Joni in 5th, but Donoso and Longuet both have penalties. Particularly Longuet is really out of the running with 6 seconds of time penalties here. Donoso could get that 3 seconds removed, and he dives into the pits, gets out of the way, does not want to be a part of this battle, and he has gone for a mega stint on that set of medium tyres. So credit to him for that one, doing something a little bit different in an otherwise doomed race. But Joni Tormala really wants to get past Nicolas Longuet, and the good news for him is that Longuet is very low in terms of ERS percentage, but bad news is that he's still going to have DRS on Opmeer and Donoso up ahead.
That pit stop from Andy will promote the likes of Patrick Cruti up into the top 10. He will be claiming the final point of the race as things stand. So, Jarno Opmeer then, 70% 50% ERS. Fabrizio Donoso, just a little bit less, but either way, Fabrizio has plenty of ERS in the tank to defend from Jarno Opmeer as we make our way down into Clubber Corner. And we look to start lap of 48 of 52. 5 laps remain here at Silverstone.
Not many laps left now, and these drivers, this is all, everything in this race has come down to these last few laps. Right now, some of them have the advantage of not having any time penalties, some of them have the advantage of having saved more ERS. But it is really up to them to try and make the difference on these last few laps. Look at Jarno Opmeer aggressively going for the slipstream of Fabrizio Donoso, who is trying to break the toe. Jarno's going to be getting close towards Stowe and thinks about a very late move into the braking zone, just to try and put off Fabrizio, perhaps. And they are starting to pull a bit away from Nicolas Longuet as well. And if so, that means Yoni Tormala might be able to get past the Frenchman.
Dario Muller picks up another time penalty. Oh, dearie me. That is going to push him outside of the top 10. And it's going to grant Ben Sabaconti the final point of the race as things currently stand. So that's a huge shame for Dario Muller. He was in such a good position. He has thrown it away with those time penalties.
Indeed. So it would appear. Similar story for Falconardi, who has 9 seconds as well. So both of them actually going to be finishing outside of the top 10 as things stand. Unfortunate, because they've had solid races otherwise. And yeah, it'll be the first time Dario doesn't finish 4th in a race in 3 races, I think. Actually, I think post-race penalties moved him to 5th in the 3 races ago, but nevertheless he crossed the line 4th. So he's been an absolute 4th magnet in these last few races, but that would be one hell of a mountain to climb at this stage to claim that same feat again.
3 laps remaining now, Jacob, and Jarno Opmeer is still on the back of Fabrizio Donoso. Fabrizio now down to 60% ERS. Remember, you can only use up 50% of ERS on 1 lap, and here at a short circuit like Silverstone, you probably only need to use maybe 30% just on that 1 straight. And Fabrizio Donoso is about to start his penultimate lap of the race, and he's just going to absolutely dump that battery. Both laps are coming out of Chapel onto the hangar straight. And I actually want to ride on board with Fabrizio so we can see this ERS usage as he defends from the current ORL and esports champion of Jarno Opmeer.
Fabrizio is getting reeled in by Jarno Opmeer just a little bit as we head towards turn 3. Jarno very, very close behind now at this stage. And it's all about the exit here of Chapel. This is the most important corner. Right now, Fabrizio is able to pull a bit of a gap to Jarno Opmeer. They're both dumping their overtake. Fabrizio is trying to stay ahead, but he might not have a way in to this fight. Jarno Opmeer trying to hang it around the outside, but can't quite break late enough. Fabrizio holding on to first for now, but we're about to go on to the final lap of the race. One more chance for Jarno to try and claim the win on the track.
Jarno with about 50% ERS. And Fabrizio Donoso with about 20%. You know, both these drivers are going to be dumping the ERS at the exit of Chapel. But Jarno Opmeer wants to have a go down into Village. He's on the outside. Surely not. He's going to get squeezed wide by Fabrizio Donoso. That could have ended badly, but Fabrizio holds on to the lead of the race for now. And now it is all about the ERS battle. It's all about the top speed battle. Here comes the Predator, Jarno Opmeer. Fabrizio Donoso will go defensive, but the Mercedes sweeps around the outside of Stowe. Can he find the grip? Can he carry the speed? And the answer is yes. Down Vale and into Club Corner. Jarno Opmeer still holding on to the lead of the race. Fabrizio Donoso with the inside will squeeze Jarno Opmeer, and Fabrizio Donoso will take the win on circuit. Jarno Opmeer takes a win after penalties, and Joni Tormala is promoted up to P2.
Nicolas Longuet's fallen down into 11th with those 6 seconds of time penalties. He doesn't even get to claim a point for this one. In fact, did he have 9 seconds of time penalties at the end?
Yes.
Nicolas Longuet, that is so unfortunate. But Jarno Opmeer claims the win and the championship in the same style. He's claimed the win in the last 4 races on the row.
That was absolutely fantastic battling. I'm going to be interested to hear Jarno's thoughts on Fabrizio's defending. I think it was aggressive. We'll see whether Jarno thinks it was fair. But either way, once again, for the 5th time in a row, Jarno Opmeer claims an ORL victory. And with that, claims the ORL championship.
Yeah, credit where credit's due there. As Two Tanitzas and a Schumacher on the podium for this one. But yeah, congratulations to Jarno Opmeer, whose own visage you'll have to imagine will be in the game next year for F1 2021. But here in 2020, it is Jarno Opmeer's realm, that much is for sure. And he just goes from strength to strength, really.
I definitely use Jarno's face as my character.
A very abrupt tonal change there. Yeah, sure. Why not? Credit to Steve as well, by the way. Great race from him. Benzo Okonyi as well, doing a nice recovery to come up into 7th on that strategy. Patrick Cruti up into 8th. But Steve, in his first race of the season in ORL, first race I've seen Steve in for a very long time, managing a very creditable 6th position indeed.
An absolutely fantastic drive by Steve, and well, Dario Muller should have been up there as well. Either way, we're going to be taking a short break. And when we're back, we will be back with our drivers for our post-race thoughts and driver interview. Stay tuned for more here at ORL. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we jump into our post-game, post-race lobby. We need to think of an actual name for this, Jacob. I'm sure there's one, but it's escaping my mind. And at the moment, we have Fabrizio Donoso with us in our interview room. Fabrizio, congrats on taking the win on circuit. I've got to ask straight off, where did you pick up the penalty?
I was kind of at the beginning, just trying to get the rhythm of the track with high fuel. I think I might get 1 or 2 removed, so maybe I might get that penalty removed. I don't count on it too much, but it was great. It was great winning on track.
Now, you were able to battle Jarno back, I believe it was at Belgium, and it was a very similar situation. It came down to ERS. However, this time, though, you seem to have just enough ERS left in the tank to defend.
Yeah, I mean, I learned from the mistake I did last time where I went for the overtake like straight away. This was pretty much the opposite, where I left him lead the race until I had enough ERS to defend to the end. So yeah, that went pretty well. Enough to win on track. It was a great fight with Jarno. I had really good was really good fun with him as always. I think he's a fair and hard racer, battling against him. But yeah, nonetheless, very happy to win it, and hopefully next time I can avoid those silly mistakes.
It was an absolutely wonderful battle to behold, especially that last lap. And
yeah.
I was expecting, I don't know about Jacob, I don't know about you yourself as well, Fabrizio. I was expecting Jarno to wait for the back straight and to give it everything. But he tried to send it, I think, right into turn 3, round the outside. And that's where the battle started. Were you expecting him to look for a move that early on in the final lap?
Yeah, I was expecting, because I think I did the same to Yoni early in the race.
Okay.
Because it's kind of a place where you don't expect the guy behind to overtake you. And I saw that in the last lap I had enough ERS to push that lap. So yeah, it kind of went almost perfect if it wasn't for the penalties. But I think I managed the ERS pretty well this race.
Okay, well, Fabrizio, congratulations on winning the race on circuit, and, well, if you get those penalties removed, being the first person to take a win from Jarno in quite a while. So congrats again on your race win.
Thank you.
Well, I think Jacob has Joni Tormala at the ready.
Yeah, hello, Yanni.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, not too much. Just been watching a race as it happens. How you doing?
I'm alright. Had a bit of fun there.
Yeah, indeed. It seemed like quite a fun race for sure. I guess one thing I want to talk about is you were the last driver to pit off of the soft tires, and that caused maybe some issues for you. You got stuck behind a few cars that you might not have wanted to be stuck behind otherwise. Could you talk us through that sort of decision and how you felt that played out?
I think it was more just me forgetting where my pit limiter button is. I think I lost quite a lot of time there. But yeah, I just didn't want to get stuck in my pit box, so I just waited until everyone else pitted because I figured I don't lose too much time there. So it went pretty well.
And indeed, and then obviously you benefited very much from being able to keep a clean race, avoiding any penalties. Was there a point where I'm sure you were aware that Jarno was the only car ahead of you who also didn't have any penalties? Was there a point where you were thinking that you were going to try and get past Longuet, particularly when Longuet wasn't in DRS range of the front two? Were you thinking that you were going to try and be able to get past him, or did that always seem unlikely that you'd be able to battle for the race win?
I was gonna pass him, but then he got the DRS back, so I thought there's no point to use all my ERS because it was really unlikely to go from P4 to P1 anyway. So I was pretty much just staying behind and trying to not get a penalty.
Indeed. Well, that worked out for you and claimed, I think, second if Fabrizio's penalty doesn't get removed, and third if it did. So congratulations on the podium. And are you happy with the race in general?
Yeah, I'm happy. I haven't really played the game for a month now because I've been doing other stuff. But I decided to race today and it went well, so can't be disappointed.
Indeed. It's always very nice to have you. And thank you for talking to me here.
Yeah, big thanks.
And I believe joining us fashionably late is our race winner, Jarno Ottmeyer. Jarno, what's going on? You seem to be making a habit of winning from time penalties now.
Yeah, second time now. Yeah, I maybe could have won on track, but the Renault guys were obviously trying to get me a cheeky penalty. But yeah, I had 0 warning, so I was lucky. Oh, am I muted? No, I'm not muted, right?
No, you're here.
No, okay. So yeah, I could have maybe won on track, but there was no need to. So
I do want to ask you about that last lap because from a spectator point of view, it was absolutely fantastic. But I noticed you were on the outside of Fabrizio quite a few times, and he did squeeze you. Was there ever any point where you think he should have left you more room, or do you think it was all just good, fair, hard racing between the pair of you?
it was good racing, but I noticed as well they were obviously trying to get me a little warning, like by accident. I mean, they always gave like just enough room, but I know what they were trying to do. But so yeah, I didn't take the risk and just stuck on my 0 warnings. I actually got 1 warning in the last lap. That's why I took it a bit more careful. Through stow, yeah.
I do want to ask just in terms of the ERS battle, because yourself and Fabrizio had pretty much the exact same battle back in Spa 2 races ago. What was going through your head in terms of managing your ERS, deciding when you kind of wanted to pass Fabrizio or when he got past, when you wanted to get back through, etc.?
Yeah, at some point I tried to get out of DRS. I almost managed to, but then I ran out of ERS myself. So I think it was 9.8 tenths at some point. I just didn't get enough. But yeah, it was a good race, definitely. Strategic as well, fighting both the Renaults, but well, they had the disadvantage of the penalty, of course. So.
Probably the question that I should have started off with this interview is congratulations on winning season 14 of ORL. So yeah, congrats.
Yeah, thanks man.
Are you going to be winning season 15 as well then?
That's the aim for sure. I was not sure if I was going to do season 14. That's why I missed the first 3 races. But yeah, eventually Sunday is quite a good day to race on for me. So decided to participate.
I mean, you said you missed the first 3 races, which you did, but still, you managed to win it in what 2, 4, 7 races out of 12. That's I think we need to ban you from half the season for next year, to be honest.
Yeah, it was really good apart from China where I made a strategic mistake, of course. Other than that, I got a little bit lucky last week in France. Today I think I was slightly better than everyone else. So yeah, it's just really good season. At least a very good 7 races apart from China. So really happy with how the season went.
Well, Jarno, congrats on your 6th win of the season and your 3rd ORL title. We look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
And I believe Jacob has Patrick Cruty at the ready.
Yes, I believe so. Patrick, are you there? He's been waiting here a fair while, so I wouldn't blame him if he's gone off to go grab some food or some drink or something.
No, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was.
All right, no worries.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good. And you guys? Did you enjoy the race?
Yeah, we did. The start was maybe a little bit slow to the race, but after a while, it definitely got rather more exciting. And it seemed like it was fairly exciting from your perspective on that contra strategy. Yourself and who was it? It was 2 other drivers with yourself. So it was you, Steve, and who's the other one?
Ben Chabo.
Ben Chabo
And Dario, yeah, as well, Dario.
Yeah, and Dario, he was a bit further up. But yeah, of course, you kept it clean as well. So you gained in terms of positions from the likes of Dario and Falconardi up ahead. But yeah, how was the race from you, first of all?
Yeah, as you said, it was very interesting from my perspective. Again, quali was shit. Sorry for wrong language, but
No
yeah,
worries.
I'm just upset with my quali performance again. But yeah, the race was exciting, and again in the race I felt very, very good and gained positions, and also I could overtake even in the train, so I was happy with that. I managed to overtake Benz quite clean in the train, which is very hard to do. So I'm quite happy with that. At the end, obviously, I lost the position to him because I tried on the last lap overtake Steve on the outside of the last chicane, but yeah, there was no space and just lost the position to Benz by doing this. But yeah, the race was very interesting. I think it was one of the best in terms of how I felt in the car. So it was very, very good. And yeah, it's a shame that I couldn't move further up, but you know, I'm lucky also that some people got the penalty, and hopefully their penalties will not be removed. So P8, and I think now I'm P2 in the championship again. But yeah, scoring 4 points, it's not a lot, but still, yeah, P2, I think in the championship is good.
Yeah, every little helps, especially when Daniela Haddad had an off race and Alvaro Carreton wasn't actually here today. So I think you're probably right in that you have claimed back 2nd in the championship. And yeah, also, I guess with that contra strategy, going on to those soft tires, we were expecting maybe to see the likes of yourself, the guys you were with, Dario Yamullo, etc., all sort of maybe charge up through the field a bit more than we saw. It seems like you guys kind of hit a roadblock when you got to Simon Weigang. And the 3 of you just kind of got bottled up behind him for a while there. Dario managed to get past him, but he couldn't get past Falconardi either. Were you expecting to make a bit more progress towards the end of the race on the soft tires? Or?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, it was quite frustrating to see Simon because he was just in front of me after the 2 laps, after the first few laps. So just to see him finishing P5 on the worst strategy, you know, it's quite frustrating because I was on a better strategy and should have been upper ahead. So, but yeah, it was just difficult to overtake in the train. That's why, you know. So I think just couldn't do more. But at least I've tried, and I'm happy with that because I overtook Benz and tried to overtake Steve. But at the end, it didn't work out. But still, P8. I think it's great.
Indeed. Fantastic attitude as always. And thank you very much for the interview, Patrick.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Well, that P8 from Patrick Cucuti puts him back up into 2nd place in the Drivers' Championship and makes it a 1-2 for Mercedes at the moment, who, of course, as a result, lead the Constructors. But, Jacob, that wraps up another day of ORL. I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head with your interview with Patrick Cucuti. Started off slow and, well, we had a real banger in the final 5 laps or so of the race, and Jarno Opmeer, as well as Fabrizio Donoso, what a battle come the end of the race.
Indeed, yeah. And both of my interviewees, they asked me questions as well. Isn't that always nice?
honestly, I think Joni Tormala is the most talkative Finn I've ever come across. It's fantastic.
Definitely, for sure.
But ladies and gents, that is all that we have time for here on the Online Racing League channel. I've been Yusuf Milky Zero Bin Sahel. You can catch me on Twitter at Milky073, and I've been joined by the fantastic Jacob Alada Hancocks, and you can catch him on Twitter at JHancocksCaster. I got it right. It's almost not surprising anymore. I need to start getting it wrong again. But yeah, you can also keep up to date with everything ORL related on Twitter at the team_ORL, and of course make sure to subscribe on YouTube to stay up to date with all of the ORL content. Thank you guys again. We're going to be back next week for the penultimate race of the championship, Italy, for round 11 of the season. Until then, stay fast and good night.